every story end, but not this one. You've reached the final layer. From parasites in your blood to machines that decide if you live or die, the archives are closing. Fact 176 starts now. The Black Death, or bubonic plague, never vanished from the human environment. Caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, dozens of cases are still reported annually in the US, Madagascar, and Mongolia. The pathogen remains a persistent biological reality, harbored in rodent populations and waiting for transmission opportunities. Clostridium botulinum produces the most lethal toxin known to science. A dose of only a few micrograms is sufficient to terminate an adult human by blocking neurological signals to the muscles. Ironically, this terminal substance is utilized in microscopic doses for aesthetic Botox procedures, hiding a deadly reality. Fact 178. The zombie fungus, Ophiocordyceps, forces ants to climb high and bite down on leaves before dying. The fungus then erupts from the ant's head to shower spores onto the colony below. This is a cold, mechanical strategy for survival through the total biological annihilation of the host. Fact number 179. Behavioral toxoplasma studies suggest that the parasite may increase risk-taking behavior in humans, mirroring its effect on rats. By altering brain chemistry, the parasite could be influencing global historical events and individual decisions, acting as a hidden biological driver for impulsivity and psychological instability in infected populations. Fact 180. The golden poison frog's skin secretion contains enough batrachotoxin to terminate 10 humans. Indigenous tribes used this biological weapon for blowgun darts, highlighting the lethal utility of nature. The toxin is so stable it remains lethal on a dart tip for years, representing a permanent chemical hazard. Fact 181. Lake Natron in Tanzania possesses water so alkaline it can burn human skin on contact. Birds that land on the water are often preserved like calcified statues, their remains turned into stone-like relics by the lake's mineral composition. It is a geographic anomaly that converts living biology into mineral. Fact 182. Death Valley, USA holds the record for the highest surface temperature ever recorded at 134 degrees Fahrenheit, 56 degrees Celsius. In this environment, human shoes can melt, and unprotected exposure results in lethal hyperthermia within hours. Without constant hydration, the body's cooling mechanisms fail, leading to rapid, high-temperature systemic termination. Fact 183. Lake Kivu in Rwanda is a massive gas-filled time bomb containing billions of cubic meters of methane and CO2. A single geological tremor could trigger a lake overturn, releasing a lethal gas cloud that would suffocate millions in minutes. This represents a constant, latent threat to one of Africa's densest populations. Fact 184. Snake Island in Brazil is so densely populated with golden lancehead vipers that human access is legally prohibited. With roughly one lethal snake per square meter, survival on the island is statistically impossible. The viper's venom can liquefy human tissue and cause systemic organ failure in under an hour. Fact number 185. The 1986 Lake Nyos eruption demonstrates the silent lethality of CO2. As the gas swept through valleys, it displaced all oxygen, killing 1,700 people and thousands of livestock. Victims were found in peaceful poses, having expired in their sleep without any awareness of the invisible chemical execution occurring around them. Fact number 186. Mount Everest is functionally a massive graveyard where oxygen levels drop to 1/3 of normal. In this death zone, human biology cannot sustain itself. Cells begin to die regardless of supplemental oxygen. The frozen bodies of climbers mark the trails, serving as permanent reminders of the lethal cost of ambition. Fact number 187.
The Huashan plank walk in China involves traversing sheer cliffs on narrow wooden planks thousands of feet above the ground. Despite being a tourist attraction, one mechanical failure or human slip results in instant, certain death. It is a high-risk gamble with gravity, where human error is systematically and fatally punished. Fact number 188. The Tawada caldera in Aomori, Japan holds sufficient magma to devastate northern Honshu. Scientists monitor the site constantly, as a major eruption would trigger massive pyroclastic flows and ash clouds capable of erasing entire regional populations. It is a dormant geological monster that could reawaken with terminal consequences. Fact number 189. The Danakil Depression in Ethiopia is one of Earth's most hostile environments, with temperatures exceeding 122 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius, and toxic sulfur fumes rising from the soil. The landscape is a chemically volatile wasteland where life cannot survive without advanced protective equipment, representing a localized version of an alien, lethal reality. Fact number 190. The Mariana Trench exerts pressure 1,000 times greater than sea level. Any unreinforced vessel or biological entity would be instantly crushed into a high-density mass. This crushing abyss highlights the physical limits of biological structural integrity and the absolute hostility of the deep ocean to human presence and survival. Fact 191. The Demon Core was a plutonium sphere at Los Alamos that caused 2 fatal radiation accidents due to human negligence. Scientists Harry Daghlian and Louis Slotin were exposed to lethal doses of neutrons after accidental criticality. Both suffered agonizing terminal phases of acute radiation syndrome as their cellular structures systematically failed. Fact 192. The Great Smog of London in 1952 was a technogenic catastrophe where coal smoke and car exhaust trapped by stagnant air killed 12,000 people. The acidic fog burned the lungs of the elderly and children, leading to systemic respiratory failure. This event demonstrated the lethal potential of urban industrial emissions. Fact 193. The Chernobyl disaster was a catastrophic failure of human management and nuclear safety. The explosion released radiation 400 times stronger than the Hiroshima bomb, creating a permanent exclusion zone. This incident remains a terminal monument to the dangers of subverting safety protocols in the pursuit of high-stakes industrial output. Fact 194. Lead mining in Pitcher, Oklahoma, converted the town into a toxic wasteland, forcing its total abandonment. Children were born with irreversible brain damage, and adults suffered systemic toxicity from lead-saturated air and water. The town remains a ghost settlement, its soil too hazardous for any biological presence. Fact 195. Project MKUltra involved the CIA performing illegal experiments on humans using LSD, hypnosis, and sensory deprivation to develop mind control techniques. Many subjects suffered permanent psychological trauma or expired during the trials. This program illustrates the ethical vacuum and lethal disregard for human life in covert government research programs. Fact 196. Lake Karachay in Russia is documented as the most radioactive location on Earth, having been used as a nuclear waste dump. Standing on its shore for 1 hour provides a lethal dose of radiation. Even decades later, the air remains toxic and the ground is a permanent hazard zone. Fact 197. Agent Orange was a chemical herbicide used during the Vietnam War that contained lethal concentrations of dioxin. Exposure caused systemic cancer and devastating birth defects in millions of people. Decades later, the biological and environmental consequences persist as the chemical remains embedded in the soil and food chain. Fact 198. The Bhopal disaster in 1984 remains history's deadliest industrial accident, where a pesticide plant leaked toxic methyl isocyanate gas. Over 15,000 people expired from systemic poisoning and respiratory failure, while hundreds of thousands suffered permanent organ damage. It was a catastrophic failure of corporate safety and industrial oversight. Fact 199. The dancing plague of 1518 involved hundreds of people dancing uncontrollably for weeks until they collapsed from exhaustion or cardiac failure. Historians suspect mass hysteria or ergot poisoning from hallucinogenic fungi in flour. This event highlights the terrifying potential of mass psychological phenomena to override human biological survival. Fact 200. The emergence of AI-driven autonomous drones represents a terminal shift in global security. These machines possess the independent authority to execute lethal strikes without human intervention, prioritizing algorithmic goals over empathy or ethics. We have entered a reality where the decision to terminate a human life rests with machines.